What's good, fam? Welcome back to the channel. This is Constant Sports. I'm your host, Constance. Now, this past week, we had some amazing competitive basketball. I loved every minute of it. Obviously, we had those games where one team was just getting blown out from start to finish, or some teams were getting blown out for like the first half, second half come around, and they turn it completely around. But I want to start off in the beginning. To me, Tuesday, July 25th was just it was just a day of amazing basketball play. All of the games were close. I think the largest margin of victory might have been I don't know, maybe Vegas over Chicago winning 107-95. And then you had Mercury and Dream, with the Dream coming out 78-65. Those were ending score wise the two games that were the most separated. The other games, Storm, Liberty. Liberty beat the Storm 86-82. We all know that the Storm is at the bottom of the standings, winning 5 games, I believe, now this season. But the Storm, the games that they definitely should be winning or definitely be in competition with these teams are the teams that they're really getting blown out by. Um, I really thought that the game with the Storm against Chicago was going to be a very competitive game, but Chicago just came out and they fought. And then they go and they play the Liberty in New York, and they play one hell of a basketball game, all around game. I feel like Jewel Lloyd watched my video or was listening to someone, or someone who watched my video talk to her. I don't know, but she has been playing much better all around basketball since that last home game that they had. So Seattle is kind of showing some changes, but that's 2 games, so let's see, and I hope that they continue to do that. The Liberty have definitely been cutting it close their past 3 games. I mean, they beat the Storm, but then turn around and lose to Minnesota, right? And then they come back last night and they beat the Sparks. So they're having a very up and down post All Star break right now. That I'm pretty sure Sandy Bardello is not happy with, and I'm sure they're going to figure it out. The Aces have obviously been continuing to win, but they definitely have been allowing teams to come back in 2 games. The game against Chicago, from start to finish, was a very good, well played game by both teams. I feel like more so Chicago played up to Vegas level. Not saying that Vegas dropped down. They both played at a very high level the entire game, and it was a very competitive and amazing game to watch. Sparks and Fever, 79-78. Sparks get that win. The Sparks, they have a lot of turnovers that I feel like is definitely the issue. But they're also having an up and down season. They won a couple games and they fought back to be back in those spots to maybe fight for that number 8 seed, but then they dropped a few games while other teams were winning. So it kind of messed up their chances a little bit to make the playoffs, even though it's still possible. There's still a good little bit of basketball to be played, but we shall see. Dream, Mercury, Dream coming out on top. Atlanta Dream has been playing amazing basketball. Um, Ryan Howard has been doing Ryan Howard things. They got Ari McDonald back, and she has come back and she is playing with the force, and no one is going to stop her pretty much. Um, they're playing very good team basketball. They're fighting for every win that they got. I mean, they're 13 and 10. They're beating some of the they're beating good teams. They're beating the teams that they're supposed to be beating, right? And then they're also beating a couple teams that a lot of people might have had them out for not playing very well against or not possibly winning that game. So Atlanta has been doing very well this season. Obviously, they started off a little up and down, but post All Star break, they've been very much more consistent. They've been one of the most consistent teams to me post All Star break. So I just want them to keep going, keep pushing. They're making the playoffs and just keep fighting for everything. As we know, Phoenix, they're struggling this year. Not as bad as last year. And I do think that that is because Brittany Griner is back and she's doing what she can to help her team. Um, but they have been without Diana Taurasi a few games. Brittany Griner will not be traveling with the team for its home stretch its away stretch these next couple games due to mental health issues, which we know she all deserves. She's been playing nonstop since getting back, and she has been playing very good high level basketball. Next game was Suns and Wings. The Connecticut Sun have kind of been a little up and down. Them and New York have just, I feel like standing wise, New York and Connecticut have really been battling who's going to have that number 2 spot. And one team will win, the other team will lose, but then they'll turn around and it'll be vice versa. So they're kind of like still staying in the same standings with New York being number 2, which, in my opinion, I do believe that Connecticut is better than New York. Slightly better. They do have their days where it could be either or. So if both teams just continue to play how they're playing, I would say the last 2 games of the season will really come out and see who's going to be the number 2 and number 3 seeds underneath Las Vegas. Dallas, though, Coach Trammell has Dallas playing like a legit basketball team. They play everyone hard. Like, yes, they've lost some games. Obviously, that's going to happen in this league, right? Like, they're going to lose some games, but the games that they have been losing, like their game against Vegas, right? Their game against Vegas yesterday, we all know that Dallas beat Vegas, right? But Vegas has obviously beaten Dallas a couple of times. Every time these two teams play, it is a battle from the start to finish. Start of this game yesterday, Vegas came out pushing and pushing, and they got up to a pretty nice lead, but Dallas didn't just sit back. Dallas is a very big and physical team, and they are going to continue to push the ball. It doesn't matter if they're down by 30 points. They're going to play that entire game, and that's what they did, and they brought that game in close. I mean, they brought it in very close. And I wasn't sure how it was gonna end. At first, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a blowout, right?" The first quarter, Vegas is blowing out Dallas, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, they're blowing them out, and it's gonna be good. But Dallas came back, and they came back to playing their ball, big bully ball, and they got the game really close within 6 points. They were within 6 points for almost all of the third quarter, half of the fourth quarter, and then Vegas just took it away. They got to the foul line a lot. They got a couple steals with Vegas just being very careless with their passes. Um, but I do believe that from what I've seen in the regular season, Dallas is more of a threat to Vegas than Connecticut and New York. Not because of the star power that's on the teams, but because of the willpower and the physicality of that team. Dallas isn't afraid to play you an entire game. And they want you to be able to play them an entire game. Because being able to play a team as physical as Dallas for an entire game at their high level is very hard, it's very tiresome, and having to play them in a 5 game series will not be fun for anyone. But at this moment, competition wise, entertainment wise, Dallas and Vegas in the playoffs is going to be a very, very good series. And I can't wait. I hope it happens. I really do. Um, Washington Mystics have really dropped in standings, especially with all of like their injuries that they've had, and it's been a struggle for them to stay within a decent range of the rankings. They're losing a lot of games that they definitely should be winning, but obviously you're going to lose games when you're missing your players. You're missing like your core players. You're going to lose games, and you're going to have to try to figure out how to win games without them. And they've done that, just not consistently enough to where their standings and the future of the for the season is in jeopardy. So I think that is definitely something that their coach is going to have to figure out how to play with everyone out. I mean, Washington is now number 7. They're 12-13, and with Chicago playing Chicago game, obviously they're losing games in there, but they're also winning games. They're 10-15. If Chicago keeps winning, and while the Misses keep losing, obviously that's going to swap. Now you have Washington going up against Los Angeles is 9-16, right? So there's a possibility that if Washington doesn't get at least one of their players back in time, there could be a possibility that LA gets his second win, or I think they're on their third win now, and make that playoff push, right? We all know Kurt Miller is a very good coach, and he has a very good basketball squad with him, with NECA playing, doing NECA things, and having an amazing season, percentage wise, and really carrying this team. But Derek Hamby coming into her own and putting her stamp on the game as well for the Sparks. Um, Jordan Canada has really been coming into her own as well as the point guard. Uh, she's young, but she's not playing like it. She's really putting her all into this season, and is showing what she did in the off season to be prepared for this season is really showing in how she's playing the game right now, and it's very exciting to watch. So we have the 3 bottom teams, all with 6 wins, with Phoenix, Indiana, and Seattle. It's the point differential and everything between all of these teams are roughly the same. The only one, obviously, who's blowing everyone out of the water is Vegas, with a 15-point differential between their opponents. And there's not really much separation when it comes to those next teams, right? 2, 3, 4, and 5 are 19 wins, 18 wins, 14 and 14 wins, right? So any of these teams can keep pushing, right? You have Dallas and Atlanta, who have been having an amazing post All-Star break, and with Connecticut and the Liberty having up and down post All-Star break records right now, you never know. It's the WNBA. It's the competitiveness of this game is insane. It keeps you on your toes. When you think you know who's going to come out in certain positions, they surprise you, right? So we're going to keep supporting these ladies. Keep watching the game that we love to watch. Thank you guys for supporting me. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, tell all your friends. Peace, love, happiness.